Hi guys, this is Max with another great political video, as I hope it will be, and today we're going to take a look at the results of California's gubernatorial recall election. And yeah, Gavin Newsom won. Better to say no one. He will not be recalled. Larry Elder did win the second ballot pretty overwhelmingly. It's fun to see that all those counties voted for a Republican by a gigantic margin. Nonetheless, Newsom won, and more or less the Democratic cause won, because even though there was some bipartisanship in this race when it came to recalling Governor Gavin Newsom, later on it did get polarized due to many Democrats nationalizing this race. That's probably what kept Newsom over the top. Now, even though the Yes campaign lost this election, it wasn't a complete embarrassment. I will admit I did overestimate their support, but I heavily based my prediction on the polling average, which at the time of which I recorded my prediction video was roughly around 12 to 13%, and I actually expected them to underestimate the support for the Yes campaign. It ended up going the other way around. And also, my county map was a bit off. That was mostly because usually you don't have to make county predictions for states like California because it's pretty clear who's going to win it on the statewide level. This race was at least at some point in time competitive, or it appeared to. But yeah, I think even though the recall effort lost, Newsom was not recalled. This election did see lots of improvements compared to results from the 2020 presidential election. Now, obviously, some Democrats, yeah, actual Democrats, did support the recall effort. And there was probably not a single Republican who opposed it, but in general, it was a Republican versus Democrat race, like it or not. And for the Democrats, this is good news in the way that they won it pretty decisively, even though it was California. And for the Republicans, it is good news that they heavily outperformed their vote total. Not too heavily, but for example, Joe Biden got 63.5% of the vote, no got 63.8, but while Donald Trump got just 34.3, the yes effort got 36.2 so far. Votes are still coming in, and I believe them to be slightly favoring the yes vote. And if you look at the county map, there were lots of counties that actually flipped. And some very blue counties actually went by smaller margins. That's also something that should be noted. And in general, I would say that, yeah, it is an indicator for the midterm elections. And it indicates something different than what I originally expected. I thought it would something that the Democrats would be approaching was something like the Tea Party in 2010. And I really have to say now that this assumption can no longer be held up in such a way. Or to clarify my opinion, I don't believe the Democrats will have to go through all of that again. I believe that they will slightly underperform their 2020 performance in the House, in the Senate, and everywhere else, but it won't be by a whole lot. And the main reasoning for that is that the country is now much more polarized than it was back in 2010. People are way more likely to vote based on party affiliation than they were back then. People are way more likely to turn out than they were back then, especially since now lots of states have decided to keep the tools of sending voters mail-in ballots around in order to increase turnout. That will cause lots of people who are Republicans, who are Democrats, to vote, which they haven't done before. And that as well makes it less and less likely for races to be overly competitive, or at least overly fluctuant. You will always see similar results from state and house districts. Yeah, and number two, I actually believe that Joe Biden will recover from his approval dump. I made a special video on his approval rating. It did pretty well. And in this video, I stated, just like I'm stating in this video, Joe Biden, the aftermath of the Afghanistan withdrawal will be around for a while, but eventually it will go away. And if there isn't another major national crisis, I think he will enter the midterm elections decently popular. So to sum it up, the no vote in California won. It won by much more than I expected. It won by much more than most people expected, in fact. And I see it as an indicator that the Democratic Party probably isn't in such a bad of a situation as I thought. They are, in fact, doing relatively well. And if, not necessarily if that path continues, but if they build up upon that path that they're currently going, then maybe they won't turn it into a blue wave, but they will turn the midterm elections into something that might be slightly favoring the Republicans, but that won't overall change the makeup of America's Congress and the governor's landscape. So, yeah, so if you're a Democrat, you like these results. If you're a Republican, you're perhaps a bit disappointed. The only good thing I could tell you is that that recall election was somewhat doomed to fail from the beginning. Because even though Gavin Newsom is a despicable governor, he still has a D to his name in a state which Joe Biden carried by almost 30 points. So that's something you gotta keep in mind. Now, if you liked this video, if you found it informative, or if you just want to support this channel, then please consider subscribing and give it a thumbs up. And as always, improvement suggestions are gladly welcome down in the comment section. Okay, well, this is it for today. I hope you'll be having a good night and a good day afterwards, and see you next time.